Welcome back to the Corporate Rejects podcast, and welcome if this is your first time listening in. I am your show host, Amanda Davila, and I am excited to continue to provide support and empowerment through your journey to entrepreneurship. Welcome to episode 3 of the Corporate Rejects podcast. Today, I am so excited to introduce to you Sharika Kellogg, my guest for today. She is a single mom of 4 beautiful kids, and she's also known as the 25/8 mom. She is just an absolutely incredible and inspirational woman, and I had so much fun talking with her, and I can't wait for you to listen. Enjoy. So when you say that you help moms make sure their businesses are set up correctly, what do you do exactly? Like, how do you go into their business and help them?
So first I start off with like a simple checklist, like, do you have your EIN? Do you have your business license? Things like that. Like, start off that way. Because I'll be honest, when I first started my virtual assistant business, I took a boot camp and they told me that I didn't need a business bank account. They told me I did not need an EIN just yet. Wait until you make $6,000 and a whole bunch of bad things. And if I didn't have my business set up correctly, I would never have been able to qualify for PPP when pandemic hit, or, some of the care loans that we get here in Florida. So I look at now, I ask moms quickly, like, how is your business set up? Like, it's not a hobby. Or do you have Stripe? Do you have business PayPal? If anyone ever want to do a chargeback, don't have it coming out of your first account, things like that. So we look at the whole gamut, and it's more of a way of saying, okay, I understand you have this passion, but you can't sell your passion if your business is set up the right way with all the licensing, paying your taxes, things like that. You're not a business, so you act like a
business. Okay, awesome. I love that because as I am building my course to help moms start online businesses, I have a similar background where I went through a course, paid course to teach me how
me
to
too.
start.
Couple $100.
Yeah, and they said the same thing, like, oh, you don't need this, you don't need that, blah, blah, blah. And like, as my business has grown, I've seen how I haven't had anything bad happen, luckily, but like my brain goes in these other ways where
Right.
I think of like all these worst case scenarios, or I see things happen to other people. And so that is super important to me when I'm teaching people, like, there is a reason to do it this way. And a lot of it comes back down to treating your business like you said, like a hobby or a side hustle versus your business, like your legacy, like that you're creating.
You're gonna. This is something like someone said something to me like, oh well, it's not that. It's not that deep. And I was like, this is my brand. It was a graphic designer. I was like, this is my brand. My brand is my life. It's going to supply, food on the table for my boys. Supply a lot of stuff. Yeah. Not a side hustle. My doTERRA is my side hustle. 25/8 is my brand.
Yeah. Well, like, my business, when I first started it, I didn't start it to be a side hustle. I started it to replace my nursing income. And I did both for a while until I built it up. But my business is what made it so we could move to Hawaii, so we can live the lifestyle we want. So there's definitely a difference between people who have no interest in running their own business. They just want a little extra on the side, like when they have time, and that's fine. But when it
even still, that should be set up correctly. Like, you shouldn't just say, oh, well, just cash at me, and then $10,000 later, the IRS is like, oh yeah, remember Cash App? We can see that too. Know?
Yes. There's so many people that I talk to that don't like understand that, like, it's against like Venmo's terms and conditions to use the personal Venmo for business stuff. Mm-hmm. Well, obvious. To me, it makes sense with the business mind, because I'm like, well, they have to make money. Like, they're not going to just give it away for free to everybody.
Right.
So, but these are all things that there's definitely some people in leadership out there who don't give the correct information, or just because it worked for them and they didn't get caught or didn't get in trouble, they think, oh,
Right.
you'll be fine. But like for me, I don't like to be like too serious and like strict with a lot of things in my life. But when it comes to my business and the IRS and all of that, like,
Yeah.
yeah, and like contracts, I see so many people out there running businesses and they don't have contracts or, any like policies in place. And I'm like, what?
Case in point, I had I guess you could say a co-attendee of the boot camp that I was in for my VA business. She came on the same time as me. We kind of hooked up, became biz buddies, online biz buddies, met in person, blah, blah, blah. Both of our business evolved into bigger businesses, no longer the VA, generalized VA. But she started selling stuff. She is doing very well. And I called to congratulate her on her really big 2 months that she had. And I was like, yeah. She was like, now I have to get my business license. And I was like, you just had 2 5-figure months. Where's that money going? She was like, in my personal account. And I was like, and if you get a chargeback or several chargebacks, they're going to freeze your personal account. That's your mortgage. That's your car payment. That's everything that I was like, and you just made 5 figures in 2 months. Do you not think the IRS is going to look at that and say, hey, she isn't paying any taxes on it? And she was just like, ah. And I was just like, how much are you putting on to the side for chargebacks and refunds because she's selling a product or service? And she was like, oh, just two products. And I was like, girlfriend. And she was like, I'll hold it for like a month. I was like, chargebacks come back a year later. So you might want to have some in reserve. And she didn't get it. And I was like, that's because we weren't taught right. And that's what I don't want other moms to fall into, like the whole commingling the money, not treating your business like a business, spending everything before, deliver everything. That type of mindset and attitude. Stop. Because as moms, we have to teach our children, the right way to manage our money. And if we're not doing it right for our business.
Yeah, no, I love this because sometimes I feel like I'm the crazy one, like having these concerns just because so many of the business owners that I work with or know or, meet don't think about these things. And I notice it in a lot of areas with online business compared to like your traditional brick and mortar business, especially, because one of the ways I support current business owners is teaching them how to outsource. So many of us feel like for some reason, because we're online business owners, we don't need help, which is, insane, right? Like you wouldn't open a restaurant and not have any employees to help run it. Like all the different pieces, there's the cook and the host and the server and the bartender, there's all the different pieces. And that's just like front of house. There's a million other little things that need to be done. So it's the same thing. They think they don't need the help and they just need to suffer through it and do it themselves for some reason. And they seem to feel that same way about setting up the business correctly. And I don't know if it's because it's so easy now to start a business. People are realizing you don't have to go to like business school. You don't have to have a business degree to start a business. I can just start online. So it's casual and there's like nothing to worry about, but there is. And I don't like to like lead with that, like, oh, like be scared, but like be cautious,
Yeah.
So I even knew a woman who was running a business and her husband was an attorney and like,
what?
Yeah, she didn't have an LLC or like anything set up. And I was like, wait, what? Like she didn't have reviewed like business contracts or anything. Just like she threw it together herself. I'm like, you literally live with an attorney.
Yeah, like someone that can look at all your stuff.
Right? I just thought that was so funny. Like, what in the world? So, anyways. Okay, so so much good information. So, building a solid business foundation is definitely an important part of your business. So, for people who are already in business, I know we talked about it a little beginning, but can you kind of go over a little more in depth on how you meet current business owners who, probably when they find you, they are starting to see success and they're like, oh my gosh, like my business is a mess. I'm starting to grow and I have no idea what I'm doing. So explain a little bit more about how you specifically work with people in that respect.
So for moms or women or even gentlemen that already have businesses in place, I do a strategy call with them. So I would sit with them. I would research their company. I'll research their competitor's company. And then I will pretty much look at how their company is positioned. Do they have their EIN? Do they have their license? Do they have a bank account? How many, if they have products and services, do they match? Because some people are like, oh, I'm a barber, but over here I sell bracelets. And I'm like, yeah, these two things can't go in the same bank account. So I try to make sure that everything is set up properly. And then I try to see how else they can, for lack of a better word, spin what they're already using. So if they are, for instance, a barber, I would say, get your name out there more in the community by perhaps giving free haircuts to foster care, who then will come to you for ongoing haircuts. Just more organic way of getting their name out there, getting more eyes on their business and generating revenue from organic means. So that's how I kind of work with those companies. And then if they want to go a step further, then I'll help them, of course. Like if they're just collecting cash in their hand and not they don't have a Stripe set up or a PayPal, a business PayPal or something like that, I will just go about setting that up for them. I have a couple moms that sell bows, t-shirts, things like that. And I'm like, how are you selling it? Oh, I just send them pictures from my phone. And I was like, what? So I was like, the easiest thing you could do without spending too much money, because you don't want to spend a lot of money. I get that. Everyone's scared to spend right now. But you can set up a quick and easy Facebook business page that has a shopping cart on it and showcase all your products and still collect money that way safely into your business bank account via Facebook. And a lot of people didn't know that. And I was like, it's quick, it's easy, and it's something you could do right away and start generating revenue. The catch is you have to market yourself. So that's always the step two. I could go in and I could evaluate the whole company, but then they're like, still not making money. I'm like, well, did you do any posts today? So that's, and then we work on that afterwards. So just trying to get eyes and visibility on them.
Yeah, I think that's so important because a lot of, moms do start doing their own type of business. And a lot of times it is based off of passion. Maybe they have a little girl and they start making bows for her and you're like, oh, I'm good at this. It's pretty easy. When I buy one, it's like $15,
Yeah.
and they're just, from a store, and I can make handmade better ones. So I think that kind of is a good segue into the art of making your passion a business. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Oh man, I love that. So I'll be honest with you, my VA business is not my passion. And it took me a while to find my passion was basically helping moms and helping kids, of course. But I love when I hear a mom tell me like, oh, you see this really cute outfit that I made? And I instantly like, that you can sell that and you can sell it to X, Y, and Z and make a ton of money, or you can totally turn that passion into a profit if you just, position yourself this way. And I just start giving ideas. This weekend, for instance, I wanted a pair of kangaroo boots. I don't know if you know what those are, but they're
Oh,
these funny looking boots that you exercise using and you just bounce around in. They're like springy boots. And one of my relatives upstate in New Jersey had a gym that closed. And I was just like, hey, can I buy a pair of those boots? And then you can just like charge me for a couple online classes. And she was like, because I knew that she loved being a fitness, instructor and stuff like that. She never thought about that. I was like, this is your passion. You're just going to let it close because of COVID. I was like, no, let's turn this into profit. Let's make your passion something you could keep doing on and on. I was like, so you'll record one for me and then we'll ever like I instantly went into work mode and and now she's packaging up her boots and her lessons and selling it.
I love that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been talking with a lot of local women here on Maui who most of them are in the like athletic training, like yoga world, exercise world, where they've always, had people coming here from all over the world to train with them, or they'd have local people here who, would purchase one-on-one training with them, that kind of thing. And then when COVID hit, people weren't doing one-on-one in person and people weren't traveling here to do like the bigger retreats and bigger healing sessions. So they're in that same boat where they're like, we have all these years of experience. We can't travel. They can't travel. Like, what do we do? They adapted and they started teaching online classes. So I'm helping a few women in that area right now to learn how to market themselves online, because in the past, they've really only marketed locally, people they know, and word of mouth. And it's funny because one of them was telling me that they really don't know how to do marketing very much. They have someone helping them like kind of with like Facebook on how to like post their classes, but they are spending like 3 hours a day making phone calls to people they know, asking them to come online to their classes. So here in Maui, it's the lifestyle is a little different than a lot of other places, and people are generally pretty friendly and like to have conversations. And right now, with
Time is
not
money.
not being able to go out and like really connect with others, if someone calls you, like you're like on the phone because you're like you want that human connection.
Yes.
So she said like each phone call is like an hour long, and she loves talking and catching up, but that's her time to like market and like try to get more clients to come online. So I'm like, yeah, I don't think making personal phone calls right at this point is
No.
probably the most efficient way. Like it's very personal, and I'm sure they love it. And it reminds me of in the nursing world where the older folks would come in and they'd be lonely and not have anyone to
Mm-hmm.
talk to. So they would sit in there and want to talk. And it was always like amazing, but it was also hard for us nurses because we're like, oh, we have all these patients waiting, but they want to talk and they want that connection. So it's that same kind of thing. Like it's like when you go to the pharmacy and the older people sit there and talk to the pharmacist about anything and everything. They're lonely. So it's that
Yes.
kind of thing. So it was super cute and sweet, and I was like, I love it. I love your heart, but you need to separate that and have like let's have a business conversation about how we can streamline this a bit. So yeah, it's really neat. I really like how people, even in that generation that isn't quite so tech savvy, they're figuring out like, okay, this is where we need to be. Now they just need help, which is why they need people like us
Yes.
come in and help.
Definitely.
So I love that. I love that you have that passion and the experience and motivation to help take them from where they're at and look at all the different pieces of how to set up their business correctly. So
And
yeah,
a passion does not have to be like a tangible item. I had one client and she was just like, I want to do something like to earn a little bit more money. She got laid off. And I was just like, well, you wrote a book. You did the illustration for it. You've coached LGBT children how to navigate hard times. I was like, you have so many skills that you're passionate about that you could totally flip into a business. You could be a coach, you can be a graphic designer, you can be an admin. And, right off of that call, she basically wrote down a couple things, did a couple landing pages, and she secured 3 jobs. And they were all in different realms. It wasn't like it was one out of each thing that I told her, like, hey, or you could do this, you could do that. And like she did something for nonprofit. So she was able to turn that into a nice little gig. So yeah, she, able to take those passions. Like a passion does not have to be, oh, I make a bow, because I am not crafty at all. So,
there.
um, so your passion is your passion, whatever it is. I'm pretty sure if you love it enough, it can make you happy, and you could do it every day, all day, and make other people happy doing it.
Absolutely. I have one-on-one lady that I'm coaching, and she loves doing graphics and anything like design, but she's worked in a dental office for like the last 10 or 12 years. And we had talked like a year ago about her coming to the online world because she has 3 kids at home and she really wants to be home. And she couldn't see the connection and how she could do anything. And then finally, almost a year later, she came back around and was like, okay, like let's talk about this again. And
Oh,
I just gave her some like projects, like here, like I'll pay you to do this and this and this, and just let's see what you like to do. And so she did. She came up with like incredible graphics and branding packages, like all these things that were amazing. And I was like, holy crap, like you have serious
yeah.
talent here. This creativity just been like stuck under life, being a mom and a full-time worker and like a preacher's wife, like all these things that took precedence over her creative side. And I don't think she even knew how good she was at it. And she's loving it.
Wow.
And now she's to the point where she's got a bunch of clients on board and she's getting ready to quit her job. And it's only, I mean,
Great.
I don't think it's even been like maybe a month, like when she really like started to like, okay, like I'm going to really look at this. So yeah, I love that. Trying things, checking things out. And sometimes people don't even know what they could possibly do, and they don't think that they have any skills, which is why I like to show them, like, you do have skills. You don't realize it. Let's like extract what you've been doing at whatever job you've been doing in all your life. And let's
Right.
see how those translate, because they really do. I love it. It's so neat. Okay, so now to segue kind of from making your passion a business, time management for moms, because I know this is on everyone's minds all the time, but right now, like really at the forefront. At the time we're recording this, we're still, in the COVID pandemic, and a lot of moms are trying to figure out how to homeschool or partial homeschool or homeschool co-op or whatever they're trying to do, or just school from home, trying to make their home like a school and figure out how to make money and, be a wife or a mom or a worker, whatever they're doing. So time management, this is huge. This is gold. So
Yes.
give us your thoughts on time management for moms.
I'm a mom of four now. I have three little boys, a 6-year-old, a soon to be 5-year-old, and a 4-year-old. The 4 and the 5-year-old are Irish twins, for lack of a better word, and they are going to VPK. My 6-year-old is going to first grade, and they have to be at school at the same time. So I'm driving one to school, and the other ones have to be online by 8 o'clock. One has to be at school by 8 o'clock, and the other ones have to be online. So I'm looking at my schedule this week. Sunday I started, and I was just like, we could figure this out. We could do this. And I was like, how do I work? How do I do school? How do I do extracurricular stuff and maintain my clients and sanity? And the fourth child is a baby, so she's easy. I strap her on and I work. But the conclusion was one that was tried and true with me. I pretty much time block. And what I do is on Mondays, since I have two businesses that I pretty much run, on Mondays, I concentrate on one business. So that would be 25/8 Mom is Monday all day, every week. So that's where I'll uh, write my content. That's where I'll do everything. So I'll go from 8 a.m. until about 11. I will stop. And in between there, I will schedule things for my boys to do. So they'll either read or they'll be on YouTube watching some type of educational video, or they'll be doing a workbook, something right next to me at their desk. And then we'll have lunch. We'll go outside, get some fresh air. And then I will block myself from 2 to 4 to do any leftover work. And then at that point, it's funny, when the baby came to stay with us, I really wasn't stopping. I would like just take them to the pool and have my computer on my lap or something like that, and then do a hard stop at dinner time, and then have a hard stop for myself at 9 o'clock. But I realized that she needs calm before she goes to sleep. And so I would pretty much stop working at 4 and cuddle with her, play with the boys, and then we'll do dinner, do bedtime, and then I would either check emails or do some socializing with people on social media for about an hour, and then have a hard stop where I just turn my brain off. And then for the rest of the week, it's half, the rest Tuesday is all my virtual clients, my virtual assistant clients. And then Wednesday, Thursday, are half days for both. So I do half days virtual clients, half days 25/8 Mom. And honestly, on Fridays, I have the luxury of saying I don't really want to work unless I want to. And that's what I want to get to. And it took me a while. The mindset had to be there, because I felt like when I first started my VA business, I felt like I always had to be working so that my clients knew I was doing stuff. So if they emailed, I would respond to them. But now I got to them to a point, and myself to a point that said, Fridays, after 11 o'clock, I may not answer your email. I'll check it, but I may not answer it until Monday. So if it's urgent, then you have to let me know it's urgent. But if it isn't, I'm just going to let it ride until Monday. And I'll check the VA stuff, and I have a VA that helps me as well, and she'll check in on them, but I pretty much try to stick to the schedule at hand. Now, do schedules stay? No, not all the time. Sometimes you have to be a little bit flexible. I have clients. I feel like when my one client has a deadline, all my clients have a deadline on the same day at the same time. So it's just being flexible and making sure that you're able to pivot at any time. But it all works out. Now, next month, it may be a little bit different when school starts, because I'm a teacher's assistant at that point. But we'll just have another schedule put in place, and we'll just keep going.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I love that. And I love how you didn't directly say it, but what you were saying was you set up boundaries. And by
Yes.
time blocking and training your clients to setting up boundaries. That's something that's been at the top of conversations lately in my course is how to train your clients because they
Yes.
either have no training on, how to be a good client, how to, or they are just trying to manipulate you, which in my experience, it's few and far between. But setting up those boundaries from the very first discovery call you have with them is so important so that, you can figure out if it's going to be a good fit.
Yeah,
And
and I always try to make sure that my clients absolutely know that I'm a single mom. I have 4 kids. There's nothing getting around that. Like I had one client that said, "Well, can't you get a sitter?" And I was like, "Yeah, we're not really good to work with each other, you know?" And I just ended that relationship because no, yes, I do have help, but at most often you're going to hear my kids. You're going to see my kids. My kids are going to interrupt me, and it's just more about being flexible enough to say, "Okay, what do you need?" And then get back to the task at hand and stopping tasks. Whenever you have your stuff on your calendar, adhere to those times if you're able to. Just, if you have a project that's supposed to last until 2 o'clock, stop at 2. Give yourself a break. If you need to get back to it, reschedule when you're getting back to that project. And that way you're not feeling overwhelmed and pressured about, just one particular task because it'll make you down about everything else. So
definitely. I know, I feel like I want to say the majority, obviously, of people I talk to that are so resistant to having a schedule like that. But I was one of them. I mean, in the beginning,
oh,
I
so was
did,
I.
and it was miserable. And until I really like time blocked like that, that's when I started to see positive changes, and I stopped having so much misery in my
Right.
life. And yeah, like you said, like you constantly with kids and life like have to move things around, but it's still on your schedule and you're just moving it. You're just finding a different place and moving things around. So I have my schedule like figured out, and then at the beginning of each week I look and see, okay, like what is different this week, and
Hmm.
then I make adjustments. But I don't just like, okay, well, I'm not going to meditate on Tuesday because I can't do it
No.
at 7. I'm going to find a different time for it. And it really doesn't take that much time. Once you do it and have it set up, it doesn't take much time. And I also set alarms in my phone every day. So the night before, I look at my calendar for the next day, and I set alarms to keep me on track because otherwise I'm really good at just getting distracted. So I have those audible boundaries for myself as well. And it's really been like a huge change for my life and for my business. Super important. So
I think when I mean I understand that we are all business women and out there, and we want to run our ship the way we do, but there's certain things that we have to take from corporate America. So if we still had our corporate jobs, would we keep working past 6 o'clock, honestly, on a Friday night? No, you would stop, you'll walk away from your job, you won't think about it again till Monday. So it's like, oh, sometimes you have to kind of take that mentality. Like if I was working for someone else, I would stop, go home, do whatever. But because we're in our office at home, that it's hard to stop. And so that's what I'm saying. Take from that, walk out of your office and go home, and then that's your stop. So I don't have a door in my office, but I always tell my clients, just close that door, walk out that door and close it behind you, stop your day. And, you know,
I love that. I know we don't have any doors in our house right now except for the front door. We're renovating this prison. Yeah. So yeah, it's funny, like, because I'm always like complaining about doors, not having doors. So I love that analogy of taking those specific things from the corporate world, even though we're all corporate rejects here.
yes, exactly. That's what I said. There's certain things that we can take, some things we just throw away.
Yeah,
Lunch breaks, take those. Closing the door,
right.
take those.
Although working, in the medical world, lunch breaks didn't usually happen.
Oh no.
But yeah, I have lunch on my schedule each day. On Fridays, I have a certain time, weekend time, and of course, depending on how the week went, there's times I have to fudge that time a bit and catch up on a
Yeah,
few things. But you have that flexibility, but it's also your decision. It's
right.
not someone else telling you you have to be here, do this, do that. You have that. So to me, it's like 1,000,000% worth it. All of it, even the struggles, and having other people in the same position is so amazing and important. And until I really started networking and bringing the people I wanted around me, I was really unhappy. There was times that I was. So more on that, your 25/8 mom community, can you share a little bit about what that looks like?
So the 25/8 mom community, okay, I started 25/8 mom as a podcast, I'll be honest with you, because as a single mom, I don't talk to other moms, especially when the pandemic hit. I didn't talk to other moms. I was like, I'm tired of talking to myself and answering myself, so I'm going to have a podcast. And then my mentor encouraged me to have a community of people that I could talk to. So, because honestly, a podcast, I was still talking to myself, um, but I was just giving out good content. So I started the community more of having moms a place where they can just kind of breathe a little, talk about whatever they need to talk about, but also encourage them. Because I think that moms need encouraging to start new businesses or to think about long term goals because they're always worried about their family's long term goals. They put their own to the side and don't think about that. So I wanted to kind of bring more awareness to, hey, I know you have a goal that you want to do. You either want to start a business, lose some weight, do something. Let's talk about it here. And so I that's just a safe haven, and I give tips about time management. I have a weight loss challenge that I want people to start taking with me for next month because my birthday is in October, and I'm like every other mom. I'm going to use 4 weeks before my birthday to get to my goal weight. Unrealistic, but hey, it's fun. Right before Thanksgiving, I want to lose weight. Yes. And so it's just, a fun place where moms, there's no cattiness, there's no politics. It's just remember to breathe, and just be. So that's what that community is about.
I love that. It's definitely so important. Okay, so one last question before we wrap up today. Aside from, flexibility of, working for yourself and being home with your kids, because we all, seem to want that same thing. That's a driving motivator. What is it that is the number one thing for you that makes all of this worth it?
The number one reason or main benefit for me right now, other than my children, of course, would be it's giving me clarity and it's giving me confidence. So when I was in corporate America, I shattered several glass ceilings, but I did not have the confidence to really ask for what I was worth. And when I started my VA business, I had fear. I had a fear of failing. I had a fear of not getting what I was worth, a fear of not being good enough. And as I moved through the years and started 25/8 Mom, the confidence overcame the imposter syndrome that I had. And so I love that about, being an entrepreneur is the clarity and the confidence that you actually get once you overcome some of the boundaries that, corporate America tied around you. That would be my biggest thing. I mean, that and the fact that we're comfortable. So, the security of life is on my shoulders, but it's not something where I feel like if I don't do this and we fail, you know, I'm going to lose everything. It's just no, I pivot and I try something different and it's okay. Okay to, make a mistake because I'm going to learn from it and make something even better. So those are the things that I've gotten from being an entrepreneur and I love that.
Yes. Oh my gosh, like that's serious goals because that's the one thing that I find hard to explain to others who haven't been through that yet. But like I know it's waiting for them and I'm like just stick it out.
Yeah.
Like I mean, I just being a human and a woman, gone through ups and downs with my confidence in
Hmm.
life, becoming a nurse 10 years ago, like that was huge, like a huge confidence booster. And I felt confident, like I can do this job, like I'm changing lives, like, there was that confidence. But then eventually, just all of the things that came along with having to, be in that like healer position for other people all the time, and away from my family, like, that was weighing on me and I needed something different. So I had the same kind of story where I, came to the online world and started as a virtual assistant, and I was completely out of my realm, like had serious confidence issues. Like who was I as a nurse who was I coming to the online world and offering like business services? Like, what do I know about
Right.
business? But you pick up so many things and you learn from all of those, real world experiences. And that, that newfound confidence and security that you mentioned, that I think that's one of the things that has been coming up a lot in the last few months with the pandemic is, people traditionally felt secure in their corporate job or any kind of job where they're an employee. They felt like they had job security, which always made me laugh because I never felt like I had job security. I mean, I've never been fired from a job. Like I've always been a good employee, but like I never felt secure because
Right.
it wasn't mine. I was still very replaceable. Someone didn't like me or, something crazy happened, like I could be fired and replaced the next day. But I feel like so many people I talk to that are employees don't have that mindset. They feel secure. So when the pandemic hit and they all lost their jobs or got laid off or, whatever happened, suddenly they didn't feel so secure anymore.
Yes.
When my business started booming, like even more, because I could pivot and I could do what I wanted. And I moved right when everything was shutting down and, across the ocean 3,000 miles from home. And, like it was still, I mean, it was scary, but like that part wasn't for me because I was confident, like no matter where I ended up in the world, I had my business and I could always figure out a way to make money online. So
Right.
it was really like freeing to me and boosted my confidence because I was like, oh, I don't have to worry. Like we got here and my husband was like, I got to find a job, and luckily, I mean, he did find something, but he only stayed there for a few weeks because he hated it. And we realized like it's not worth it and you don't need it, like let's just focus on our businesses and like not worry about it. So
Yeah.
we worked for a few weeks when we got here and now we've been here for almost 6 months and we just work from home. The online business is supporting that and supporting this lifestyle and the flexibility to be with our son, especially not having any help here. So it's a really incredible, and that's one of the reasons I love, having other people to bring on and talk to about this because it's not just my experience. It's like there are real women all over the world who are doing it, like really doing it, and we all have our messy lives, but we're all doing it because we have a common goal. So
Yes.
it's really exciting and I love it. And I'm so glad that you came on and shared today. So if people want to connect with you further and get to know you better, where is the best place? Like, where do you hang out online the most?
I hang out mostly on Facebook. I know I should be on Instagram, but I get caught up on everyone else's video and not my own, so sorry. But Facebook is where you would see me and all my minions and be able to connect with me and reach out to me. Yeah.
Yay. Okay. So I will share all of your links in the show notes. And
Okay.
is there anything else that you want to share before we end today?
Just, if you are scared, it's almost like a roller coaster. Just close your eyes and, take a deep breath and then let it take you on that ride. But in the end, it'll be okay. You'll come to a stop, you'll get off, you'll laugh, you'll have some memories, and you'll have something to take away from that experience. And just don't let it cripple you or stop you. Keep going.
Yes. I love that. Sharika, this was amazing. You brought so much value and insight, and I loved it. And I know that everyone in my audience is going to absolutely love this as well. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I hope that you enjoyed this interview with the 25/8 mom, Sharika Kellogg. I highly recommend, if you are a fellow mama, to come and join her group called the 25/8 Moms on Facebook, and I have linked that below for you. It's an incredible place to connect with other moms, and especially women in running businesses. And Sharika is just incredible. I'm giving her a new title called Mother Tougher because she is one tough mother. Like, she is incredible and such a great inspiration to all of the moms out there who are trying to do all the things. And I absolutely just love her style and her drive and motivation and her heart. She's such a kind heart. So thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time.